Why did my owner forget that the tenants are also people? Because he does not comply with the lease agreement, but it cannot be that he will be above the law. Live electric wires are accessible to bystanders, which may cause electric shock, and electrical checks have never been carried out. The fire alarm is not functional and the signal check has not been carried out for 2 years. There are no fire extinguishers in the corridors. The house has no information board. At my own expense, I had to repair the gas installation, bought a new gas furnace, fittings and workers, and paid the annual gas test. The value of this investment is around £7,000. The owner commissioned me to do this work, but he didn't pay. In the garden there is a garbage and there is no access to the garden for a year. The tenant has been prevented from accessing the bins. The tenants are throwing garbage in the trash on the boardwalk in downtown Darlaston. Rats and mice moved into the house. There is a large toxic mold stench in the hallway and the staircase, as well as signs of mold and moisture on the wall. It is very dirty in the corridor and the stairwell. There are a lot of dust particles that cause allergies and other diseases. I am an example of this. The owner wants to take over my private belongings in my apartment worth over £10,000. My tools that were intended for home repairs were stolen from the basement with the consent of the owner. The value of stolen items is around £15,000. Smells of drug smoke in the corridor at night and in the morning. The garden has been transformed into a landfill. There is a drug stinks in the hallway at night. Tenants were prevented from having access to private rubbish bins and to store rubbish that was in the back of the house in the garden. The garden has been developed by the new owner as a dump. Problems with fire regulations. The entrance door to the apartments is not fireproof. Complete lack of an escape route from the building. Additional escape doors at the back of the house leading to the garden are locked and closed in case of danger and evacuation. The windows in the corridor are screwed and locked. In the event of a quick evacuation, they are not useful. The garden is arranged as a garbage can, in the event of an emergency. There is no access to an emergency exit door. Inoperative fire alarm in the building. The alarm panel is locked in the gift store and it is not possible to visually locate the hazard and disable it in the event of a false alarm. No tests on fire protection installations. Tenants were prevented from having access to private rubbish bins and to store rubbish that was in the back of the house in the garden, as per contracts. Currently, the garden has been developed by the new owner as a construction dump. The corridor and staircase in a residential building is very neglected and cluttered. There is mold and a powerful corrosive smell coming from the basement. There are no information boards in the corridor and no designated place for this purpose. Electrical installation threatening electric shock. In the corridor there are unsecured electric cables with meters that block the escape route to the garden and expose visiting children and people to electric shock. There is a burrow in a place visible in front of the yellow dustbin. There, the rats get out of the basement of the building. The owner informed me by text that all the belongings and equipment of my apartment are property landlord. Landlord stole my all tools from the basement, without my knowledge. He broke into the basement, replaced the locks and frightened me in writing the police that I no longer have the right to renovate the basement, nor can I enter it and move at all. Is once again trying to rob me and appropriate my belongings. From all my apartment, all my belongings and equipment is my property. You can see it in the film. The landlord did not pay me for the gas installation and the materials he ordered, and did not pay for outstanding work. All this was done for landlord by my company. On January 21, 2020, I received a text from the landlord with a message about taking over my belongings and equipment with a signature. I believe that this is the theft of my property. I asked for a copy of such a document, but I did not receive it, so it is evidence that it is a theft. Below I read a message from the owner about the appropriation of my belongings. Tony sold the property to us with all the fixtures and fittings. All tenants in the flats and the notice Tony had served on you to evict the flat. So I don't know what happened between you and Tony. Thanks, and please kindly deal with my letting agent, John Miller. Thanks.
Globally in the 3 months to July.
The video was made especially for the Walsall City Council and the media to warn other tenants against dishonest landlords and real estate agents. The film presents documentation of the landlord's conduct towards the tenant. John Miller, West Bromwich, real estate agency. Property owner Sheila Rani Mahmi from Darlaston. Injured tenant from a rented apartment Kazimierz Zerdka 1 Church Street in Darlaston.